Hello and welcome to this week's review on Zwift Running. For those of you who don't know what Zwift is, it's a popular application for cyclists primarily, or at least it started off as one, that essentially replicates a real world. You can cycle with others through different courses, segments, races, time trials, multi-day stage races, etc, etc. And more recently, Zwift as a company decided to add running to their ability or functionality within the game. The review itself is going to be split into a couple of sections. The first one's going to be quite basically running over the tech required to get running, pardon the pun. The second one's going to be the things I enjoyed about it. The third is going to be the things that I didn't enjoy as much, and then lastly I'll give some kind of overall impression about the application or the piece of software, and potentially some arbitrary number out of 10 as some sort of rating, I guess. In terms of tech needed to get started, you need one of these. This is a foot pod. This one in particular is the Zwift pod, or as it used to be known, a milestone pod. You can also use things like Stride, and I believe you can also use the Garmin foot pods as long as you have an ANT Plus dongle attached to your laptop, which brings me on to the second piece of tech. You need a laptop or an iPad or a phone or something that has Bluetooth and can connect to both your foot pod and your heart rate strap of choice. And last but not least, you need a treadmill, or at least access to one. So this is where this kind of gets into my pros and cons section. So the tech aspect is really low. It's also free. Now I repeat, it is a free piece of software. Zwift for cyclists is £12.99 a month. Zwift for runners is, as I said, free. So this is already off to a good start, and the cost to get started is extremely low. The Zwift pod cost me about £20, £22 I think, and most of us already have some form of heart rate strap, and most of us already have a phone or a laptop. So actually, in terms of new tech required, it's not particularly much, so we're already off to a good start. The things that I enjoyed about Zwift Running were that it gamifies running. So for those of you who know what it's like to run for hours on a treadmill, it's extremely boring, it's extremely monotonous. Sometimes you are literally watching paint dry. This at least breaks that monotony. It makes it slightly easier to get onto the treadmill. It gives you something to chase. You can chase down Strava segments, you can chase down Zwift points. It gives you a little bit more purpose when you get onto a treadmill. And it kind of just allows you to immerse yourself into something else and kind of watch the hours, in my case, go on by into the distance. That coupled with the low tech threshold is just awesome. It basically is everything kind of that you'd want from a treadmill experience. However, there are a few caveats. That is pretty much the only good thing about this so far in my experience, and there are quite a few bad things. Right, now onto the not so good things. There are a few. One, treadmills aren't really smart yet. Smart trainers for bikes have come a long way. They can replicate gradients, hills, road feel even. Treadmills don't. And unfortunately, there are a lot of hills and stuff in the virtual world of Zwift and Watopia. These aren't replicated on the treadmill automatically like they are on a bike. Some of you may see that as a good thing from a safety perspective. Some of you may see that as an annoying thing from the I don't feel this immersion thing really working for me. I found it quite unfortunate. I don't own a treadmill either. I was relying on gyms, hotel gym treadmills. So that is one bad thing. Secondly, pods. Pain. These things are a pain. So annoying. I spent hours calibrating to this thing. That was a bit of hyperbole. No matter how often I calibrated this pod on every treadmill that I used, I could never get the Zwift world to match the treadmill speed. Now, for most people, they probably won't care. I care. I like looking at my numbers, I like seeing how far I've ran or run, or how far I'm going to run, and I want it to be relevant to my training. And the fact that the treadmill was saying I was going like 13 kilometers an hour and Zwift was saying I was going 11 and a half, that really annoyed me. It annoyed me towards the end, and it actually made it, I actually didn't enjoy using it as much. I suppose it depends where you derive your enjoyment from training. I didn't like my Strava and Training Peaks to not match the effort on the treadmill. So that was a big gripe for me. Secondly, because it's pod based, if you have too big of a fluctuation in your speed, for example doing intervals, the calibration won't really work as well. So I did an interval session with the Zwift pods. It just kind of capped out, wouldn't really match the speed at all. I think it was about 4.5 kilometers an hour off from what speed I was doing the intervals at. That really bothered me, actually. Also, pods keep on disconnecting. Might be my iPad, but my player would character would stop moving, start, stop, start, stop. Just got annoying. It kind of seems like it hasn't been fully fleshed out, but I suppose that's something to be expected with it being a small part of the application and kind of an add-on. So those were the bad things. Overall though, if you look at what Zwift Run is as an application at the price point that it is, it's a cool piece of software. Like, I wouldn't use it as a training software, but if you're looking for something to gamify running or at least keep you motivated while you're confined to treadmills, then I don't see why not. I think a pod is a great kind of tool. It can, you can use it in your outside running. It's not treadmill specific. It can be used for cadence, strike rates, contact time, etc. So you can use it to train normally, and then you can download Zwift Run whenever you're forced to be on a treadmill and at least enjoy some semblance of running outside. And again, it's free. It's a free piece of software. So taking that all into account, my arbitrary scale and my arbitrary grade for this kind of piece of software would probably be 7 out of 10. If they can sort the functionality out with the pods and get them to stop dropping signal, then it would be an 8. And then if they could actually figure out how to get the pods to properly match treadmill speeds, well, we'd be seeing 8+ on the score. So if you've used Zwift Run and you've had an experience with it, please just drop a comment down below. Like, let me know what you were running it on, whether it was a laptop or an iPad or a tablet, and what pod you used and what your experience was. I'd be really interested to hear your experience with it. So thanks very much for swinging by the Zwift Run review. Don't forget to check out some of the other ones on this channel, and I will see you next time. Pieces.